We begin CBS2 News at 5 with breaking news, a shooting outside a church in Compton.
We're told one man was killed, 2 others wounded. Apparently there was a funeral at the new Holy Trinity Missionary Baptist Church. Then there was a disturbance outside on East Compton Boulevard. We're told the street is closed now as detectives investigate that shooting.
We have reached a deal
now. President
to end
Trump
the shutdown and reopen the federal government.
We can never hold American workers hostage again.
Developing news, President Trump announces a deal to end the government shutdown, and Democratic leaders blast the president, claiming he held 800,000 government workers hostage for weeks for a wall he will never get. And late today, the House and the Senate approved the deal, but the president still needs to sign it.
Yeah, we'll reopen the government for 3 weeks. We're told the deal does not include any money for that wall, but buys Republicans and Democrats more time to work on a possible new deal on border security. And
CBS2's Mola Lenghi is in Washington with more on the deal that is only temporary.
Well, Jeff, Pat, this short-term deal keeps in line with what Democrats have been calling for. First, reopen the federal government and then negotiate border security and the wall that President Trump is still demanding. President Trump endorsed a short-term plan to reopen the government until February 15th.
I will make sure that all employees receive their back pay very quickly.
Today's tentative agreement does not contain money for the president's long-sought border wall.
This is an opportunity for all parties to work together.
The president says he could still declare a national emergency if Democrats don't come to the table.
If we don't get a fair deal from Congress, the government will either shut down on February 15th again, or I will use the powers afforded to me under the laws and the Constitution of the United States to address this emergency.
The president, along with lawmakers on both sides, came under increased pressure to reach a deal as the effects of the shutdown rippled across the country. On Friday, multiple airports experienced delays due to a shortage of air traffic controllers.
It's sad, though, that it's taken this long to come to an obvious conclusion.
The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
Late today, the Senate passed the continuing resolution.
The only way the federal workers are going to have stability and certainty beyond the next 3 weeks is if Democrats will stop playing partisan games and get serious about negotiating with the president.
The measure then passed the House before going to President Trump's desk. Well, looking forward, it's unclear how this compromise may impact President Trump's State of the Union address, which was originally scheduled to be given this coming Tuesday. As you remember, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi refused to invite President Trump to Capitol Hill to give that address until he first agreed to reopen government, at which point the president's State of the Union was postponed. At the White House, Mola Lenghi, back to you.
Mola, thank you so much. Now, today's breakthrough comes on the same day as the meltdown at airports all across the country.
Well, many people think there's a connection. CBS 2's Dave Lopez is live at LAX to continue our team coverage. Dave.
Well, some of the people we talked to says it was not a coincidence. The slowdown by the air traffic controllers was a real wake-up call in the White House. There were a lot of strategic meetings during the week. They were being told what could happen if this day occurred. Now, one of the real fears that they had when everything was going haywire back in LaGuardia, when all those flights were being canceled and delayed for as long as they were, they thought there would be a trickle-down effect here at LAX because, after all, a number of flights leave United Airlines here to LaGuardia. That did not happen. It's quiet time now, but everyone here is breathing a sigh of relief because things could have really been messy. Was it this site, as some sources are suggesting, airplanes stacked up at LaGuardia in New York, delayed by as long as 86 minutes, some flights canceled altogether, that forced the hand of President Trump today?
Well, absolutely. Things were just building up too much for the president. The number one thing he still has on his side is an economy, and he was beginning to negatively impact it.
Fernando Guerra, political expert who teaches at Loyola Marymount University.
He was beginning to lose support little by little, and not only that, the most important thing is that there could have been an accident, a crisis, and it would have all been blamed on him.
At LaGuardia and other airports back east, in Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Orlando, air traffic controllers called in sick by the dozens, causing safety concerns and thus the reason for all the delays. United, which has frequent flights to and from New York out of LAX, had no delays or cancellations.
Flight 6912 is now boarding.
And there was a full contingent of TSA agents at LAX, despite the fact that tomorrow would be their second missed paycheck.
We've been very, very blessed here. You know, I have an extremely strong leadership team, keeps our officers very focused.
And showing up for work. Same with the air traffic controllers. But the national president of the Air Traffic Controllers Union, Paul Rinaldi, sounded the warning bell a few days ago, saying that his members are completely exhausted and stressed out over what was happening with the shutdown. And this from the Flight Attendants Union. This is exactly what the aviation unions have been warning would happen. Do we have your attention now, Leader McConnell? This shutdown must end immediately. And reaction at LAX when President Trump announced the shutdown was over for now.
It does matter. If he could get the rest of his life together, it would matter more.
Still cautious about the future.
So in 3 weeks, does this happen all over again?
He's really painted himself into a corner where he has very little room to maneuver, and he cannot do this again.
So he does not win on this at all?
Oh, no, he's lost, and I'm sure he got tired of winning at one point. He's going to get tired of losing.
So at the 2 control towers here at LAX, that's one of them right there. It is back to normal. Of course, it was never not normal except for the fact that the men and women were not being paid. So how close did the trickle-down effect come here? We'll never know. We do know that at least for the next 3 weeks, they're on the job, they're getting paid, and then, reporting live from LAX, I'm Dave Lopez, CBS 2 News.
Dave, thank you so much. You can, of course, stay with CBS 2 for continuing coverage of the government shutdown and the showdown as a result of that. And there's more ahead on CBS 2 News at 6 and 6:30 on the Evening News with Jeff Glor. For the latest anytime, just go to our website, cbsla.com.
Major developments in the Mueller probe. FBI agents swarmed the home of President Trump's longtime confidant, Roger Stone, and took him into custody. CBS 2's Sandra Mitchell is in the newsroom now with more information. Sandra.
Yeah, Pat, Stone was arrested early this morning, accused of lying to Congress and witness tampering. But he says he is falsely accused. This is just the latest in a string of charges brought by special counsel Robert Mueller. Roger Stone, a longtime friend of President Trump, says he will fight federal charges stemming from special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation.
I will plead not guilty to these charges. I will defeat them in court.
FBI agents arrived at his Fort Lauderdale home early this morning and took him into custody.
I would have been more than willing to surrender voluntarily. They terrorized my wife, my dogs.
Stone has been indicted on 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, 5 counts of false statements, and 1 count of witness tampering.
The charges today relate in no way to Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration.
But court documents say a senior Trump campaign official was directed to contact Stone about any additional releases and what other damaging information Organization One had regarding the Clinton campaign. Those documents also accuse Stone of pressuring another witness to lie to investigators. President Trump today ignored questions about Stone and the charges.
Were you aware Roger Stone was updating your campaign on WikiLeaks?
Stone wouldn't say if he'd ask for a presidential pardon, but he is expected to be arraigned at a federal court in Washington next week. Roger Stone is now the 6th Trump associate charged by Robert Mueller. Pat, back to you. Jeff?
Well, it's getting close. 9 days now until Super Bowl Sunday. And today the Rams continued preparations for the Patriots before they head off to Atlanta this weekend.
Yeah, I'm still looking for some more blue and yellow to wear.
Yeah.
Sports director Jim Hill joins us now from the Rams facility. Hi, Jim.
Pat, thank you very much. From the Rams facility here in Thousand Oaks, the Rams just wrapped up their practice just a short while ago as they are making their final preparations before they leave on Sunday as they go down to Atlanta, Georgia to take on the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 53 that you'll see right here on CBS 2. And earlier today, cornerback Nikel Roby-Coleman was fined over $26,000 for his helmet-to-helmet hit that was not called in the NFC Championship game against the Saints. Meanwhile, Todd Gurley only had 4 carries in last week's win over the Saints, even though he scored a touchdown. He's not listed on the injury report after dealing with knee inflammation a few weeks ago, and head coach Sean McVay knows that he needs to get his best offensive weapon more involved.
Anytime that you have somebody that's as versatile as he is, that can really play all over the formation, he can run, he can protect, he can win individual route isolations, whether he's coming out of the backfield or he's lined up, detached from the core in the slot outside. So it's fun to be able to have great players. But, what we've also talked about is not only is he a great player, he's extremely smart, works hard. He represents what's right about how you handle yourself as a teammate, as a leader, and you love being around guys like that. And I think guys like Todd are part of the reason, because we've got a handful of players like that, why we're getting the chance to play in this game.
And Coach McVay knows he will need all hands on deck in order for the Rams to defeat the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 53, which you'll see right here on CBS2. Reporting live from the Rams training facility in Thousand Oaks, I'm Jim Hill. Pat, back to you in the studio now.
All right, thanks for that, Jim. Well, the shock is still settling in for a facilities worker at the Rams training camp.
Yeah, he found out yesterday he's getting a free trip to the Super Bowl with his son. Take a look.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's a dream come true, man.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Thank you for everything.
I mean, that little boy, man. I'm like, oh my God, maybe one day I'll get to go the Super Bowl. I'll get to take my son.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
of you guys, man.
Absolutely.
A dream come true, he says, since he was a little boy. It was Rams wide receiver Brandon Cooks there, giving Alfonso Garcia 2 tickets to the big game. That was yesterday. Now, the Rams tweeted out this video with the caption, "It takes a team to achieve the dream." We caught up with Alfonso and his son today. Garcia recalled the moment at work when he got the big news.
One of the guys that works here, he went and said that the general manager Les wanted to speak to me. And what made me a little nervous, that's that nervous you want to really get called into, And when I went there, Brandon Cooks surprised me.
I'm really excited to go to the Super Bowl because I've been wanting to go to the Super Bowl since I started watching the NFL.
Oh, so sweet. And his son Joshua got to spend a little time with Dad on the job today. Isn't it nice how they pay it forward to people that work for the company? It's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Rams fans, you are invited to a Super Bowl send-off rally. It is this Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning at LA Stadium at Hollywood Park. That's the location of the team's new stadium under construction right now in Inglewood. So you can see the team, cheer them on right before they fly to Atlanta for the Super Bowl. Of course, have details when the team's chief marketing officer joins us in studio in just a few minutes.
And CBS2 is your home of the Rams and Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. You can watch the Rams take on the Patriots Sunday, February 3rd, right here on CBS2.
Halfway to their destination, a flight from Hawaii to New York has to make an emergency landing after a flight attendant dies on board.
Not enough affordable housing. Governor Gavin Newsom takes legal action against Huntington Beach. What the city is saying in response.
Only supposed to be gone an hour, an 80-year-old stuck in a snowstorm overnight. He tells you how he made it out alive.
Really nice temperatures here today with lots of sunshine, but we might have some winds to contend with. We'll talk about that in your full forecast coming up.